How y'all doing? As promised, I'm doing a video talking about Scooby-Doo. So today one of the subjects is gonna be, the original Scooby-Doo incarnation, the older cartoons, starting, of course, in 1969. Then we're gonna address the modern crop and, everything in between. So it makes sense to start with first incarnation, which of course is Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? This debuted in, can't remember the exact date, September, I want to say it was around September 30th or September 28th, something like that, of 1969. So Scooby-Doo's been around for a while, so I definitely need to get better lighting in here. Sorry about that. I gotta get a better light for these videos, folks. I know, believe me. Um, this, of course, has some of the most well-known episodes. Among my favorites are, of course, What a Night for a Night was the very first one. Hassle in the Castle was great. Mind Your Own Business was with the Minor 49er. Bedlam in the Big Top is with the Clown. Go Away Ghost Ship, of course, is Pirate. That Snow Ghost. Jeepers, it's the Creeper. Yeah, those are just a few of the gems on there. What I liked about the original Scooby-Doo is that it had these bubblegum pop rock and roll songs in it that when they were being chased would play. So I mean, it fits the era because the 1960s was a great period, especially for music. I mean, some of the best songs came out from the 60s, especially 1969. A prime example is In the Year 2525 by Zager and Evans. It's a prime example of that. But, so Scooby-Doo started with the Where Are You series. It eventually evolved into the new Scooby movies. And that turned into, the Scooby-Doo show, New Scooby Mysteries, and things like that in the 1970s. The formula, basically, the unmasking formula stayed, pretty much the same. Which it worked for the time period, but as time went on, things evolved. You gotta change with them. So when it got to the 80s, that's when you started seeing where the monsters turned out to be real. With shows like 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. Let me go grab that real quick. With Vincent Price, I might add, as Vincent Van Ghoul. And then you had movies in the 80s. Scooby-Doo Meets the Boo Brothers, which is arguably my favorite one of those. Scooby-Doo and the Reluctant Werewolf. And Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School. Now, addressing the 13 Ghosts, I think I have to address, I should say, one of the elephants in the room, and that is the so-called follow-up to it. Okay. Now, when I watched the trailer for the Curse of the 13 Ghosts movie, I was like, okay, whatever. But if you watch it, okay, I cannot recommend that at all. Okay? Every possible way that they could screw it up, they did. A lot of these movies lately, if they've changed the storylines to fit Velma's logic. And honestly, you know what the best part of these three movies was? Right here, did I show you? And the best part of the 13 Ghost series was no Velma and no Fred. And that right there proved that those two characters were not needed. And quite frankly, they've become over the top in recent years, especially Fred with his obsession with traps. And quite frankly, in some of those movies, he looks like he's going to fuck the Mystery Machine. He treats it like it's a person. It's like, man, I get it. You know, I'm into cars too, but don't act like you're going to molest the van. Seriously. It's just, yeah. Anyway, back to the 13 Ghosts sequel. So, every possible way that they could mess it up, they did. Like I said, Velma's logic screwed up the ending. I mean, I kind of figured that anyways, the way it was going. But probably the other sin was, okay, anybody that knows technology these days knows that this day and age, you can do anything. So if you're going to have the Vincent Van Gogh character, okay, why not still use Vincent Price, but take old lines that he said and rearrange them digitally to say the phrases you wanted to say? Because having this other voice actor try to match Vincent Price's voice, it just isn't going to happen. Vincent Price is the king of horror. He's a legend. And you cannot match his voice no matter how hard you try. Okay? So, I'm sorry, but that's... Then, they didn't ruin that enough, so... They had, later that year, they released a sequel to, or I should say, wannabe sequel, to probably the greatest Scooby-Doo movie ever made, and that's Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. Now, really all you have to watch with that one is the trailer, because the trailer of that is a telltale of exactly what it is. Think of everything you know about Zombie Island, the original. It ain't in the sequel, folks. I can tell you that right now. I mean, the island don't even look the same. And since when did it have a hotel? And the whole thing just didn't make any sense. I mean, it's like those two movies, the 13 Ghosts sequel and the Zombie Island sequel, if you want to call them that, they're best being not seen at all. Just pretend they don't exist. Just like that Ghostbusters 2016 or the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. You just pretend that they don't exist. But, yeah, Zombie Island is probably one of the greatest ones ever made, if not the greatest. Especially from that first era of the direct-to-video or direct-to-DVD movies. The only one can I say that matches it is this one, Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost. In terms of soundtrack, it's the first appearance of the Hex Girls, but not the last. Thank God for that, because they're great. And just the whole thing is just great. I mean, you get Tim Curry as a voice in it, as Ben Ravencroft. That's another thing about these movies. Sometimes they've had top actors doing voices. For example, in Zombie Island, Adrienne Barbeau, plays Simone. See, that was another thing. It's like with the sequels that they tried to do to those, that series and that movie, they shouldn't have been made. It's like they were unwanted sequels. They were done in a way that nobody would have wanted. And the only reason that you'll see what appears to be positive reviews for them on things like Amazon is because Amazon changed their review format. You don't actually have to leave a review. So people are just, going and rating it. I mean, knowing Warner Brothers the way I do, and sadly, I know Warner Brothers really well, sadly. I know exactly how they operate. Um, but knowing Warner Brothers the way I do, I wouldn't be surprised if they paid people to, you know, write positive reviews for those two movies on there just to make themselves look good. Because, I mean, let's be honest, okay? Even Jaws 3 and 4 have positive, what appear to be overall positive ratings on Amazon, if that tells you anything. So, I mean, I wouldn't I wouldn't trust those positive reviews for those two movies. And honestly, if somebody does like those two movies, then clearly they have never seen the actual 13 Ghosts TV series, and they have never seen the original Zombie Island movie. Because if you've seen that Zombie Island movie and you love that Zombie Island movie, then yeah, there's you're not gonna like it. And if they're worried about, okay, anybody that's the original Zombie Island movie came out in what 98, 99, something like that. I think it was 98. Now the DVD says 2005 on the back, so that's a big help. But I know 98, 99 is when they started those direct-to-video ones. But I can't remember the exact date for each one, even though I've seen them as many times as I have. But the thing about it is that if you love Zombie Island, the so-called follow-up that came out 20 years later, okay, anybody that's watched that is going to be an adult now, okay? So the point of that, making it the way it was pointless. I mean, sorry, my throat's a little dry. Anyway, well, it's like with the 13 Ghosts TV series that came out in the mid 80s, okay? Over 30 years ago. Okay? So, anybody that watched that's going to be an adult now, so. Well, reading the reviews for that, they're like, where are those two ghosts? Where are Weird and Bogle? Where's Scrappy? Okay, so addressing the Scrappy thing. Well, when they made that live action movie in 2002, the idiot that directed it, he had a personal vendetta against Scrappy, so that's why he wrote Scrappy as the villain in that. And honestly, that's what killed the movie. I mean, the movie was actually good up until that point. But when he decided to do that, I mean, an ending can kill a whole movie. And right there is when it did. I mean, kind of makes me wonder if he directed those two sequels. Because honestly, the ending's what killed him. I mean, they weren't, quite frankly, neither one of them weren't that great to begin with. But I mean, the other problem I have with the 13 Ghosts sequel is that it made Daphne look really weak. And in the original 13 Ghosts Scooby-Doo series, she's like a strong character. So it's like, did you people even watch the source material? It's like now they've taken to packaging them together because they want so bad to sell those movies, those sequels, and they know that nobody wants them. So now they repackaged it as Saga of the 13 Ghosts, where you can get the series and the movie. Yeah, it's all well and good, except nobody wants the freaking movie. Same with Zombie Island. Now they're packaging both of the Zombie Island movies together. It's like nobody asked for that. But then again, it's Warner Brothers. Since when did they even pay attention to anything? But they are who they are, I guess. Now, before I get to the next aspect of the video, I want to show you a couple of Scooby-Doo games. These are Night of 100 Frights and Unmasked that you can get for PS2, as well as other systems. Now, if you were wondering why my case for the Night of 100 Frights is blue, it's because at one point I ran across some Region 2 PS2 games, and before I got rid of them, I swapped the cases. I kept the blue cases, as you can see. And I thought the Scooby-Doo movie, or the Scooby-Doo game rather, would pop pretty good in this case with the blue. And I was right. So now, as you can see, I'm wearing my Scooby-Doo racing hat that I have. Pretty cool, huh? Picked that up at a flea market several years ago. Now, there's another elephant in the room that I know everybody's going to want me to address. Alright? So we're going to do that. And you probably know what that is. It's the Velma series. Yeah. So you're asking, you probably ask, have I actually watched it? Well, I've seen clips of it, and I've seen pictures, and I've seen, things like that. But sometimes, folks, that's enough. It's just like watching a trailer. You can pretty much tell what it's going to be. I mean, to be honest with you, when this was announced, and it was announced it was going to be the way it was, I knew exactly what it was going to suck. And again, I don't even think they paid attention to the source material because it's so far away from what Scooby-Doo is. And just people are saying they like it, and you kind of wonder what they're on. Because it just, I don't know. I mean, obviously, to put it lightly, yes, it's woke. But, you kind of expected that from the announcement. And, would I ever sit and watch an episode of it? Hell no. But again, it's like something that probably, shouldn't exist. It's getting renewed for a second season, but yet it has the lowest ratings of any cartoon or anything on Rotten Tomatoes or anywhere. But what it is that people have been hate watching it. Okay, folks, you can't do that. If you hate something, don't watch it. Because then they're going to look at, the ratings. They're going to look at the viewership. They're not looking at the reviews. They don't care about the reviews. They should, because that tells you who actually likes it and who doesn't. But they're looking at the viewership, and because so many people hate watched it, that's why it's getting renewed. If you don't like it, then you shouldn't be watching it. You got to treat it like it's a damn disease. Freaking just ignore it. But that's why it's getting renewed for a second season. That's why we're going to have to deal with it. Seeing that shit. Another movie I want to talk about briefly is Happy Halloween, Scooby-Doo. This had a lot of cool stuff in it. Like, one point you see the Christine car in it, Elvira's in it, among other things. She drives a really cool hearse in it. It's really done well. Um, Again, the only thing that could have made it better, with that storyline is if the monsters turned out to be real. Um, you see, my biggest problem with that, you know, this unmasking thing in recent years is because you're telling the same story over and over again. It's like okay, I get what you're trying to do, but essentially the storyline is the same. It's just the person's different that you're unmasking, and the monster's different. But essentially, it's the same story. So it's like you can't keep telling the same story over and over again. That's why so many people like Witches, Ghosts, Zombie Island, and like Cyber Chase and things like that. It's because they were different. That's why those movies are so well loved. And same with Boo Brothers and Reluctant Werewolf and the Ghoul School. That's why those are the best ones. And like I said, the unmasking thing, the original incarnations of Scooby Doo, okay, it worked. The first, series, it worked. It kind of worked in, the new Scooby movies, but, the problem with that is that, you know, unmasking a villain or a monster is kind of a stretch when you have Batman and Robin in a couple episodes, and then you have a talking car named Speed Buggy in another. I mean, come on, people. It's like if you're gonna have those elements, and it's like you might as well at least have the monsters be real in those episodes. The same thing goes for that Scooby Doo Batman the Brave and the Bold movie. It's, same thing. And that's the thing, you deal with like scarecrows in this, you know, from the Batman universe, otherwise known as Jonathan Crane. So it's like, and that's another thing. If you're gonna have somebody from the Batman universe in a Scooby Doo movie, where the hell is Batman? I mean, yeah, I get it, Warner Brothers. I get it. You own the rights to those characters, but at least have it make sense. Especially if you're gonna mention Gotham Asylum and things like that. But it is what it is. Well, last thing I'll address for Scooby-Doo would be the more recent movie, and that's the Trick or Treat Scooby-Doo. Well, I was still trying to give it a benefit of the doubt, but I honestly agree with a lot of these reviewers of what the message is. Um, Velma has a love interest in it, which it's a woman. It's like, okay, whatever. But to center the whole storyline of the movie around that, kind of makes me wonder what their intentions are, really. I mean, and I can kind of see why a lot of people didn't like that movie. I mean, honestly, the best part of that movie was the Mystery Machine when it got turned into a hot rod. But beyond that, it definitely was a letdown. So, and like I said, though, I mean, that's the way it is today, I guess. I mean, people are more afraid about offending somebody than they are actually making something that, most people would want to see. They're catering to a select few. Well, it is what it is, I guess. But anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I'm sorry about the lighting in here, but trying to think. I thought I had more than one more to show you. Oh yeah. Yeah, I did. Okay. Yeah, I almost forgot to show you this. Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, Season 1. That's of the recent Scooby-Doo series, that's probably the best one. I have not seen Scooby-Doo in the Guess Who uh, series, but I've heard about it, and I've heard mixed things about it, honestly. So I'll check it out at some point. Scooby-Doo and Mystery Incorporated. I gotta tell you, it's pretty easy to get season 1, but if you're looking for the complete season 2, good luck, because it appears that Warner Brothers discontinued it. So it's not easy to get at a reasonable price. So, which is why I don't have it. Whatever. And you gotta get what you can afford, right? But anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time.